Okay, Wayne, I've been ranting. You've been trying to get a word in edgewise here, and I apologize. I've got a lot of questions. I've got a lot of comments. I've got a lot of places to go and things I want to cover with you. But looking at where all this lays out, this point in history, what else is on your big board?
Well, I just, it's amazing to me to see so many Democrats and some Republicans, like the dementia patient, John McCain, resorting to these McCarthyite tactics of calling everyone a Russian agent. We're back in the 1950s here. I mean, it's like Trump's an agent, Flynn's an agent.
But then there were some Soviet agents. I mean, it wasn't as bad as now it's total bull.
Oh, now it's like there's one behind every tree and under your bed, and I'm not surprised that Soros is helping with this propaganda because he's a Hungarian. He has a visceral hatred for anything Russian, and it's to the point where he and his father were helping the Gestapo at the end of World War II to round up Hungarian Jews and send them to the death camps. That's somebody that really has a visceral hatred for Russians because he decided it was better to cast his lot with the Nazis. And so, I mean, this is just ridiculous. All these charges that everybody, oh yeah, look, even Tom Hartman, because he has a show on RT, and he's a Soros acolyte. He's accused of being a Russian agent. Ed Schultz, Larry King, because they have shows on RT, all supposedly now Russian agents. It's really disgusting that many Democrats and a few of these Republicans are resorting to these tactics.
Sure, but saying Tucker Carlson that, the guy actually said, well, you're a Russian agent too. And Tucker starts laughing at the end of the interview because the guy couldn't show proof of, this all being run by the Russians, and had just been retracted that very day by the Washington Post. And of course, Tucker hasn't said this, but I know Tucker. I've been to dinner with him. I looked into things. His dad was the head of Voice of America for like 20 years and a bunch of other clandestine stuff. To say his dad, who's probably CIA, was working for the Russians is just a ridiculous joke.
Yeah, I met his dad a few times, and yeah, that's kind of ridiculous since he was part of the effort to combat Soviet active measures and disinformation during the Cold War. But these people, again, they want, they're entitled to their own opinions, even though they're flawed, but they're not entitled to their own facts here. And that's what we're seeing. And in many cases, these individuals are casting blame. I wasn't on that Washington Post list, the properknot.com, but many publications, including InfoWars, who I write for, were on that list. So I know it's ridiculous. And,
well, I've seen you listed as fake news in articles, though, about fake news, so don't worry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, there was a couple Twitter messages that stated that. So fake news, yeah, well, let's look at the Washington Post, 1981. Janet Cook wrote an article about a 7-year-old African-American boy named Jimmy in D.C. who was a heroin addict. Got the Pulitzer Prize for it, except one problem. They had to retract it. She made up the story, even though the great Bob Woodward is the one who nominated her for the Pulitzer. Jason Blair, New York Times, 34.
What do you think of the New York Times hiring the guy from Politico that said, quote, I'm a hack. Tell me what to do. I'll write anything you want. I'll lie. And they're like, oh, that's great credentials. You're a discredited, lying hack in the WikiLeaks. Let's hire you.
Yeah. Well, look, you want fake news, go to the New York Times, Washington Post, the New Republic, USA Today. They've all had their share. Brian Williams, of all people. This.
Oh, have you noticed he's the new crusader against fake news?
Yeah, you can't make it up. You just can't make it up. I've never seen anything like this.
Let me ask you about the psychology. You're really a smart guy. I really want your view on this, and I want David's view on this. Jump in anytime, David. This is a co-host free-for-all here. We're all co-hosting together right now on a panel. What is the mental illness that's come over them? And I want to add to that. I've lived in Austin, liberal town since high school, but it was good old-fashioned liberals that were against torture, war, all this kind of stuff. Now, I get confronted every time I go out, grocery store, hike and bike trail. Had a guy walk up, pull a gun out and say, you think you're tough now? You piece of crap. They're going crazy right now, and they just seem like they're going like, dying or something. And I don't get it. For Hillary Clinton, this monster, and then they're lying about Trump. What the hell happened to him?
They remind me of the people who follow Jim Jones down to Jonestown in Guyana. I mean, I think these people are delusional, and that's being kind. Some of them are plain mentally ill, I think, the way they're spreading around certain stories. But, I guess that's the kind of environment we live in now with, and now they want to brief. There's a call to brief all the members of the Electoral College to give them a CIA intelligence briefing where they'll be lied to by the CIA about fake intelligence.
Oh, yeah, they're saying, the Democrats are saying, brief everyone, get involved like the mafia with a jury. That's what they are, but they've already been given the vote. The jury foreman's been given the vote to deliver, and they say, let the CIA come in and tell them, don't vote for Trump because the Ruskies.
Well, what we should show them, Alex, is that clip from the Defense Department briefing. Remember a few years ago, what was it, 2 years ago, where the one lady who was an officer stood up and said to the Defense Department official, nobody believes this anymore. It's just mindless propaganda. That's what they should show these jurors.
Yeah, that's in the article. Pentagon promises to stop lying because of Matt Drudge. And the Undersecretary of Defense gets up, and they have people at the PSYOP meeting, but both military and civilian, getting up and going, what? We don't have to lie anymore? They didn't get that was a new announcement that they're going domestic, and we promised to stop lying. That was the rollout of the lying. This one woman gets up from the military, and she doesn't quite get it. She goes, I'm really sick of lying. Can I tell the truth? Because they don't believe us. They're like, excuse me, ma'am, you didn't quite get this.
But the other part of it is, Alex, just as they use the policies of, they call it diversity, but actually it is racialism that they push and racism that they push. Now these people who have been calling those of us who are concerned about open borders, the security issues of that, the economic consequences of that, they called us xenophobic. And yet they're pushing hardcore xenophobia by saying foreign influence is why we have to give the State Department the ability to propagandize America. They're going to put out fact-based narratives. We're going to give them $160 million to do this. We're going to make the State Department the center of this. That is why they're pushing back, and they're using xenophobia to do it.
And doesn't that, so it's okay that we're going to have blacklisted state remedy because we're fighting the racism, which is actually creating the division. Wayne, looking at this psychology, though, again, I know you talked about the mentally ill followers of it. What about the press themselves? They've only seemed to get more arrogant. And they're doing more of what brought them to where they are. I don't think they realize most of the military and even intelligence people now are awake. So if they try some weird soft coup, I expect it's going to blow up in their face.
Well, this is because you got ownership of the media in so few corporate hands. They can actually get together and on Monday morning say, okay, this is what this is going to be the lead this week. This is where we're going. Everybody runs with the pack. And it's very easy to do that. People, it reminds me of the movie Network, where Peter Finch, who played Howard Beale, the network anchorman, said, everybody, turn off your TVs, go to the window, put your head out the window and say, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. I think basically Trump has tapped into the people, the fictional people in that movie who said, yeah, he's speaking for me. And they, people all over the country stuck their head out the window and said, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And I think people, as we saw with the election results, basically did the same thing at the polling place.
So, looking at foreign governments, looking at what the CIA has done before here and overthrowing other governments, if they do try a power play, we know they're trying to get the delegates to go against him, the electors to go against him. If that doesn't work, they've shown they're not going to give up. They're totally mentally ill. What do they do next?
Well, I think he's really going to have somebody to come out in his organization. If he doesn't want to do it, he's going to have somebody come out and say, this is why we have the Electoral College. It is a firewall against the concentration of power. It is a firewall against the corruption that you find in certain jurisdictions like New York or California or whatever, the big cities. That's what its purpose is, to contain
everything's
that.
The separation of powers.
Exactly. And so they have to defend that. And then they also have to put this in the context of these people saying, well, we're going to change the electors who are going, the delegates who are going to go to the convention, and we're going to get them to have their own decision here. Now we're going to do the same thing with the Electoral College.
And the lesson is this: Trump fought it, so they weren't able to steal his nomination. Sanders didn't, he lost it. The lesson is Trump must go on the attack. So I'm going to go back to you.
He has to go on this attack against the Electoral College.
Wayne, how does he go on the attack?
As I say, I think what he needs to do he needs to be really tough on what the CIA is doing right now. He needs to call for a commission after he's inaugurated to say, look, this is an
Sure,
intelligence.
but I agree with you. You said that earlier. But what does he do in the next 38 days, my friend?
Well, I think he's got to keep up the offense on the people that are these McCarthyite tactics of saying everybody's a Russian agent. It's ridiculous because that can lead, obviously, Russia's a nuclear superpower. That can lead to war, and maybe that's...
Oh, that's my next question. What do you think Russia's thinking by all this?
Well, I mean, you know, Russia has been putting out with this fakery with news in the West and fake intelligence now for, 15 years or more, that Russia is doing all these things because it's aggressive. It was told that NATO would not, first it was told by Madeleine Albright, NATO's not going to expand into Poland, Czech and Slovak and Hungary, and it did. And they said, well, it's not going to expand.
And they've watched them bomb Serbia and hand it over to the Muslims. They've Kosovo. They've watched them take over the Middle East and hand it to radicals.
Right.
And they see them moving up their borders, saying, "We come in peace. We come in peace." But like in Mars Attacks, they don't come in peace.
Right. I mean, it was to the point they were going to be in Ukraine and Georgia. They were going to surround Russia. I mean, you'd have NATO going up the Volga River if they had a chance.
And then our media says Russia invaded Ukraine when Soros brags he overthrew the thing.
Yeah.
Right. And twice. Soros was involved in the Orange Revolution in 2004 and the Maidan Revolution in 2014. That's twice. And
let me ask you this question when we come back when they get David's take. Why is Soros still above ground, not pushing daisies? I mean, he's got so many enemies. This guy is like Dr. Evil on PCP.